So there are certain words that we just use on autopilot that if you want to create a slower life, it's probably a good idea to stop using them. My name's Rachelle, this is How to Live Slow. So I created this channel to help you find the antidote to overwhelm that comes from being a modern mum and create that intentionally slower family life of your dreams. I've put these into categories so that I can break them down. There's a few words and one of them is hustle. This is probably my favorite or most important word. I feel like this is a word that's overused. It's like filled with the opposite of slow living, really. Hustle culture is this thing that people talk about, like you have to hustle for your dreams. And that's great to a certain extent because you're internalizing that feeling that you need to be busy and that if you're not busy, you're not worthwhile. And we are so much more than the work that we do. The other word that puts a lot of pressure on people is the term entrepreneur. And I really like all forms of it. There's mumpreneur, solopreneur. What? The reason why I really think that this is a word that we need to stop using is because so many of us wish that we could have just a little business. And we want to create like a small part-time income to supplement our family and, create some sort of fulfillment in the work that we do. And if we say that we're an entrepreneur, it's got like this six-figure connotation, and we don't need to be hustling for that. We don't need to be calling ourselves entrepreneurs. We can just have a little business, and that's so much less pressure. And maybe you don't even want to have a business and everybody's talking about being an entrepreneur, and it's just like, stop it. So then there are a few words that we need to stop using if we want to own our power and set personal boundaries that fulfill our desire to live a slower life. Now, the first word is try. So it's like when someone invites you and you're like, yeah, I'll try to make it. When you say, I'll try to make it, that's kind of being really disrespectful. When you say you're going to try to do something, 99% of the time, you're not actually going to do it. So own your power, own your time, and just say no. In whatever format makes you feel most comfortable. But it's respectful to you and it's respectful to them, and that's what's really important. So the next word that you should stop using, and I just said one of them then, and I'll explain in a minute, but stop saying sorry. So instead of saying, sorry I'm late, or sorry about that, flip it, make it into a positive statement and say, thanks for waiting for me. I know that I'm a little bit late and I really appreciate you being patient. And that is so much more, especially if you are late. I feel like saying thanks for waiting sets the rest of the time together up in a really positive way. It's like you're not on the back foot. So the next word is, particularly in email, we say just, like I'm just wondering if you could do this for me, or I'm just wondering how you're going with that. Sometimes you do need to ask people legitimate questions, and that's okay to be a bit more direct. Another word that we internalize is when we should do something, and that was the word that I said before is you should stop doing this. The word should is something that we do, and it just has the connotation of guilt. We should exercise, we should eat healthy, we should do this or we should do that. And when you should do something, you probably don't want to do it. The last word or words that I think you should reconsider using is probably or assume. We assume things when we've had an interaction with a person and there's missing information. So we assume and we fill in the gaps. We've assumed that they're thinking this thing, or we've assumed that they've said that, or we've assumed that they're going to do a certain thing, or that they did or didn't do something, and that sort of thing. So when you assume something, it's often in a negative way about another person, and there's a very high chance that you're wrong. And if you are going to assume things, try assuming a positive spin, or assume that they had good intentions. So even though it had a negative effect, what they did, they didn't mean for it to, go that way, or they didn't mean to be late, for example. same thing as probably. It's like, oh, they probably did this, or they're probably thinking that. Have a little look at ways that these words might be coming into your life, whether you're using them, and if there's any ways to reduce or eliminate them. And by doing that, I'm confident that you will feel much more positive about life. You'll feel much more in control. You'll set personal boundaries that you can maintain, and you'll have more ability to create an intentionally slower family life. I hope this video has been helpful, and I would now love to know what are some words that you find are overused or misinterpreted or could really be removed from our lives. Thanks again for tuning in today. I really appreciate you spending some time here with me, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next Tuesday for another video. Take care.